India is an agrarian country with around 70% of its people depending directly or indirectly upon agriculture.
Share of GDP and employment as per 2011 and 12. Here we can clearly see that agricultural sector produce the most employment in India. However, agricultural sector does not contribute so much in our annual GDP as it does not yield so much money due to its relatively low cost. Agricultural share in GDP. Here we can see the agricultural share in annual GDP is continuously declining due to its low cost yield. As a result, the 60 to 70% people who are associated with agricultural sector are not getting the benefit instead of the increase in annual GDP of India. This chart clearly explains that why GDP growth rate does not reflect the real employment scenario of India. Actually, unlike other countries, the service sector does not produce much employment in our India. Understanding the anatomy of demand generation. Here we can see the export is also growing in our India respectively higher rate rather than the average world rate. The relative GDP share of agricultural sector has maintained its ratio almost same over the past decades. But other sectors have failed to do so as they don't produce much employment along with growth. So in spite of increase in India's annual GDP, demands in rural area are rising mostly in food related sector only. The respectively higher CPI in food indicates that the rural area mostly dependent in agriculture is not generating so much demand in their sector. Expect food is due to low income in agriculture. Changes in employment share. In the previous reports, we have seen that industrial sectors and service sectors produce comparatively less employment than agricultural sector along with growth. Now, in the report we can see that the employee share of agricultural sector is also declining over the time. It means the agricultural sector is also in crisis. Farm woes. Agricultural output growth has dropped sharply, sending a warning signal to the government. Here is a graph describing how the share of agriculture in gross domestic product in the left hand scale and the gross growth in agricultural value addition is fluctuating over the time. Here is another data. Consumption slowdown also hits hard our India. The consumption is slowing down due to the slowdown and the decrease in our income from the service sector. Actually, the service sector, the growth rate in the service sector is also declining. The main dependable sector of our India is now only left in our hand is agricultural sector, but we know that agricultural sector does not yield so much money in our hand. Agrarian crisis is clear and present danger for Indian economy. India's GDP growth for the second quarter has laid bare the deepening distress in its villages. Farm incomes have not risen even though the government has announced a hike in minimum support prices. The country's agricultural output measured as gross value added grew at a steady pace of 2.8%, far slower than the 5.3% in the June quarter. This was on top of low base of 2.6% growth last year. An extension of the troubles of the Indian economy has also been visible on the expenditure side. Private final consumption expenditure grew up by 7%, which was lower than the 8.6% in the previous quarter. Consumption has been the strongest engine of growth, and incipient signs of a slowdown that was followed by a distress in the financial sector will hurt the economy. Consumption demand from the rural economy also needs to hold up for the overall growth rate to remain above 7%. In order to get rid of this economic slowdown, we have to increase the consumers' consumption. This will only happen when the 60 to 70% workforce in agricultural sector will get higher payment for their work. This is why our agronomic welfare squad wants to help farmers to get higher prices for their produce crops.